I remember the day I first dared to dream. I was but a boy then, hidden in the shadows of a palace that was not truly mine, but claimed by my adopted family, the daughter of Pharaoh who raised me as her own. The walls of that grand house echoed with the voices of prosperity, yet beneath the veneer of gold and silk, a restless truth clawed at my soul. I knew I was born Hebrew, my blood, my heritage, hidden deep within me, buried beneath layers of royal veneer. That truth was a secret I kept close, even from myself, until the fire within refused to be smothered. They, the family I was born into, dismissed my dreams as foolish, even dangerous. When I spoke of my longing to see my people free, to return and lead them, their laughter was sharp, cutting. "Foolish boy," they said, "dreams don't feed the stomachs of slaves or fill the coffers of Egypt. You're an embarrassment, a royal by adoption, but a Hebrew by blood. Stay within your bounds, or you'll become nothing but a failure." Their words echoed like stones, hurled relentlessly into the fragile fabric of my hope. But I couldn't silence that voice inside. It was insistent, divine almost, whispering through the cracks of my trembling heart. I saw the suffering of my people, their backs bent under the weight of bricks, their tears falling in the dust of their bondage, and I felt an unquenchable fire ignite within me. I was caught in a cruel paradox, a prince in a palace of opulence, yet a Hebrew in my soul, bound to a destiny I couldn't ignore. In those early years, I wrestled with my identity, the conflicting images of myself. On one hand, the son of Pharaoh's daughter, clothed in robes of gold, taught to rule and conquer. On the other, a Hebrew slave breathing the dust of oppression, longing for justice, for liberation. I learned their language, their gods, their customs. I sat in Pharaoh's courts, listening to treaties and decrees, but my mind often drifted to the fields and the cries of my kin. I wondered, could I ever reconcile these worlds? Could one man hold both the crown and the cause? The silence of God was deafening at times. I prayed, though no voice answered, only the ache of longing, the whisper of an unseen hand guiding me. I questioned whether my dreams were delusions, a foolish rebellion against a destiny I was not meant to fulfill. Yet deep within, a seed of purpose took root, stubborn and fierce. It grew day by day, storming through my doubts, refusing to be uprooted. My family's mockery grew louder as I pursued my vision. Their words became a chorus of contempt. "You're wasting your life," they sneered. "You cannot change Egypt. You are nothing but a dreamer." I felt their disdain like blades, slicing my confidence, yet I clung to that divine whisper louder than their voices. I knew, somehow, I was born for more. The years passed, and I began to make choices that shocked even myself. I could not bear to see my people suffer in silence. I left the comforts of the palace, risking everything, my safety, my reputation, my very life. I stepped into the shadows of the Egyptian night, hiding my true identity, yet driven by the unyielding call that burned within me. I saw a barren land transformed into an oasis green, thriving, alive by my hands. I became a gardener of salvation, planting seeds of hope where despair had taken root. But even as I succeeded outwardly, the inner battle raged on. Was I truly fulfilling my destiny? Did my actions speak louder than my doubts? I knew the path I walked was perilous. Pharaoh's wrath was a looming shadow. Yet I pressed forward, refusing to be silenced by fear or ridicule. Every victory was a silent protest against those who had mocked me. Every tree I planted, a testament to divine grace. Then came the day I returned home, not as a prince, but as a man transformed by faith and perseverance. I stood before my family, those who had once called me foolish, an embarrassment, a dreamer destined to fail. Their faces were lined with disbelief, their eyes flickering with the remnants of scorn. They watched as I unveiled the lush land I had cultivated, a living testament to what faith, perseverance, and divine purpose can achieve. The scene was electric, dead silence broken only by the trembling gasps of my family. I saw their faces, the guilt and shame flickering behind their eyes. They had ridiculed my dreams, dismissed my pursuit as absurd, and yet here I was, standing in a thriving ecosystem, proof that God's promises do not fail. A powerful moment unfolded, a moment that seared itself into my memory. My mother, the one who once whispered words of doubt, looked at the land I had transformed, then at me. Her face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks, and she whispered, "How did you do this?" Her voice cracked with awe and regret, a silent confession of their past derision. My father, stern and proud, could only nod, recognition dawning in his eyes. In that instant, I understood the weight of divine grace, not just in my story, but in theirs. I saw how the very mockery that once wounded me had been a catalyst for resilience. Their words, once like stones, had broken me temporarily, but ultimately shaped me into a vessel of hope. I had become what they had called a fool. They called me an embarrassment, but I had become a deliverer. My story, their story, is a testament to the incredible power of faith and divine purpose. It's about the quiet, persistent voice that calls us beyond the voices of mockery and doubt. It's about the scars of rejection that forge us into vessels of divine strength. And it's about the truth that no matter how barren the land seems, with God's grace, life can flourish where despair once reigned. As I stand now, surrounded by thriving trees and blossoming fields, I reflect on the journey, the tears, the silence, the ridicule, and the triumph. I realize that every step, every struggle, was part of a divine tapestry woven with purpose. My past mockery, their derision, became stepping stones, an unlikely karma ledger where the debts of shame and doubt were forever canceled by the credit of divine favor. In the end, I see that success is not measured by worldly praise, but by the quiet fulfillment of our divine calling. My family's judgment, once a source of pain, now fuels my gratitude. They watched me fail, they mocked me, but they also bore witness to God's greatest work, a transformation that no words could fully capture. So to those who feel crushed under the weight of rejection, to those whose dreams are dismissed as impossible, hear this. The greatest victories often emerge from the depths of hardship. And the divine purpose for your life is not thwarted by the voices that tell you fail, but is refined through them. Today, I stand not just as a man who built land from dust, but as a living testament that embracing your true heritage, no matter how hidden or suppressed, can lead to divine deliverance, not only for yourself, but for others. Our stories are written in the ledger of eternity, and every act of faith, every seed sown in hope, is a deposit into a divine account that never overdrafts. I once was mocked for dreaming the impossible, but now I see that those very dreams, given by God, are the seeds of miracle. And as I look into the eyes of my family, I no longer see disappointment but recognition, an understanding that even their past scorn was part of the divine script. Because in the end, redemption is real. It's not just a gift for me, but a legacy for all who dare to believe beyond the ridicule, beyond the scars, beyond the doubts. God's grace is the ultimate karma ledger, where every failure is counted as a step toward divine destiny, and every tear sown is reaped in joy. And I know this, my story, our stories, are not over. The fields I've planted will continue to bloom, and the legacy of faith, perseverance, and divine purpose will echo through generations. For those who have been mocked, misunderstood, or dismissed, hold on. Your breakthrough is coming. Your divine harvest awaits. Because what once seemed impossible is now undeniable proof. God's sovereignty over every barren land, every mocking voice, every hidden heritage. And in that truth, I find my peace, my purpose, and my eternal hope.